Welcome back to Equal Time Soccer. I am Mark Pravratsky, and we have a very special show. This is a first for us. Sioux Falls City FC reached out to do something a little different to reveal their roster for the 2023 WPSL season. So we are doing a full-on reveal, testing the capabilities of myself and my brother Matt, who is doing some of the tech support to give us this stream. We've got a bunch of players on deck, but we are going to start with some of the folks leading the team in the front office and on the technical area. We have Joe Demay, who's the technical director and head coach, Emily Thomas, who is one of the owners and founders of the team, and a new assistant coach and a player from last year, Anna Bondi. Welcome to the Sioux Falls City family.
Thank you.
Awesome. First up, so Emily, I'm going to ask you because I'm thinking of your perspective. I was looking, at the articles announcing the team. It wasn't even a year ago, right? And a year ago, the team wouldn't have been announced, is what I should say.
Right.
Now you're looking at year two. So how does it feel different? Maybe do you feel a little more confident? I'm wondering, how it's different going into year two in 2023.
Yeah. Well, obviously having more than 4 months,
and
having a season under our belt has helped a ton. We are super excited for this season. Last year, we had these great expectations, but we had no idea how well it would be received. And our fans showed up. We had the greatest season. Things just kind of evolved. So looking ahead to this year, we've got some new things. Like Joe is our first full-time employee. He's our director of soccer and head coach. And Anna, we are so glad to have her. One of the things that is new this year is our Players Council. And we really, obviously our whole mission is empowering women through soccer and giving them a voice and supporting them. And so last year we had some causes that, our players stood up for. And this year we have a Players Council who is actually deciding what's important to them. And they then bring that to the team. And Anna is kind of the one who's taking the lead on that. And we're just really excited as what is going to happen this year with all of the partners, the causes, the promotions. There's a lot in store for this year. So we're really excited.
That's awesome. And that's a very cool thing in modern sports. And you've seen this in soccer. I know like the men's national team, the women's national team do this where you see things like that. And it's a really player focused thing. And that's a really cool thing. I think maybe you were posting about this. The team was in the off season, just what you learned from talking to players about what to do better. And that's a really, because I'm sure you did Pride Night and you did a lot of things last year, and I'm sure players really loved it. But of course, for you to be able to reflect and grow, this is even better if they're just at the heart of it. So that's a really cool thing. Empowering the players. And Joe, for you, I'm wondering, you were involved as in the technical department last year. This year, obviously, you're going to be the head coach on the sidelines as well. I'm curious for you, looking back at last year, a lot went right off the field and plenty on the field too. And I'm curious just for you, what went right last year in terms of the actual soccer on the field, and then kind of what have you seen through open tryouts and roster building, looking to improve that this year?
We won a lot at the start. That was a good thing. That built momentum for sure. Wins are, everybody likes winning. But we were fortunate this time last year. Literally, we were reflecting upon this last week. Dale Weiler and I, who's on the technical staff, along with Anna now and Taylor Mahachek, Dale and I were trying to figure out how we're going to get players. Like literally this time last year, we had 0 players. Zero. I think we had our first staff meeting on like right around this time last year. So we're trying to figure out how we're going to go about that. So we did a good job. We were also fortunate to find some good players from a variety of places, including Anna, who was playing in an adult league in Sioux Falls. And she'd played with Fusion before, right, Anna?
Yep.
A few seasons before COVID, and then decided that she was going to give it a go again. So we got players from all over, and everything just clicked off the field and on the field. So we were able to win a lot of games, and that helped really build or increase the excitement around the team, within the team itself, and then obviously within the community. And then from there, we looked at, hey, what went well and what do we need to do better? And we started planning for that early July.
Yeah.
So we didn't wait around, till the springtime to start figuring out what we needed to do. So we just started immediately attacking. How can we be better? How can we can recruit and identify players and recruit them much, much earlier this year? How do we do better with that? So by the time the college season started, we already had a full strategy in place.
Yeah.
What do we need to do better for the players next year to retain as many as possible and to attract new players? And we sent out a very long survey to the players that hit everything. Tell us what you like. Tell us what you don't. And to rewind that a little bit, it all started with the culture that we tried to create with the team, which was, we want to do things differently. We do want your feedback. If there's something that you think can be done better, tell us. And we'll listen and we'll try to react. Obviously, there's some things we can do more easily than others. Some of them budget related, as in this space. That's a big constraint sometimes. But if we can do it, we will. Or if we can find a way to get closer to that, then we will. So creating that culture early on within the team was a big factor in driving the success and then building into this year.
Yeah, well, it's exciting, and obviously we'll see the players soon, but you clearly, from the short term you had to build the team last year, you have plenty of people coming back. I mean, so you found pieces that, you're able to take into the next year, and there's always going to be turnover, of course, but that clearly, that was some pretty good short-term recruitment, I guess, and you had a winning season, so can't complain. Speaking of, by the way, I didn't realize, I knew you had a gap, Anna, between college and then playing WPSL, but that is so cool. I've attended a number of open tryouts for these summer league teams in the last couple of years, and that's the player I want to root for the most. I was hoping Aurora had a couple players at their open tryout that had been a few years removed, and I kept joking with my co-host Danny Foxhoven, who was a decade out of soccer. But so that's really cool to me that you had a chance to be a part of the first step in this team. And I'm curious, for you, having played at Northern State, we talked before the broadcast, one of the nicest, not when you were there, now is one of the nicest stadiums in D2 for sure. But you played, but a competitive team, you played, for, I think, Dakota Fusion, it was mentioned to me. So how did playing for Sioux Falls City compare to just the other club and college experiences you'd had in terms of what you got out of it soccer wise and maybe more broadly in terms of the whole environment?
Yeah. I mean, during my time at Northern, I had always dreamed of being a part of a team like Sioux Falls City that you can continue playing during the summer and progress your skills and all that kind of stuff. And I think being out of it for so long after Northern, I don't even know how long I've been out of it. I started joining
10 years with COVID. It had been 10 with the COVID time had been a decade. Yeah.
Thank you. I was missing that competitive factor of playing soccer, and I'm in 2 adult leagues here, and it's been really fun, and still having that enjoyment for soccer, but I still wanted that competitive side of it. And I saw this team was starting, and I was actually going through my emails, and I wanted to be a part of it, either volunteer or see if I could get a job or something like that. And I remember I emailed Joel, it was Joel, and I reached out is there any way I can be a part of this, no matter volunteer based or whatever? Because I knew this was going to be something huge, and I wanted to be a part of the first steps. And moving along, I was kind of getting these encouraging voices saying I should just try out. And from my adult league players, they were telling me to try out, and my friends and family. And I'm like, I guess I'll see what happens. And I hopped in, and they took me, and I was so grateful that they would do that. And I didn't realize how big of an age gap it was going to be. But it didn't really feel like a big age gap when I joined.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt natural, and the girls were so welcoming and all that stuff. And it's been, I realized, I looked back, I think I tried out in May, and then 2 weeks later practice started, and hearing like last season how kind of chaotic it was getting this whole thing together. As a player perspective, it seemed really seamless. Like everything just was so smooth throughout the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
And now being on this side of it, seeing everything that goes into it, all the background stuff and all the meetings and getting all these causes figured out, it's just like an amazing environment to be a part of. So
yeah. Well, I was just picturing a Disney sports movie, and as I was playing in an adult league, and my teammate said, you got to try out, this is The Rookie, this is Invincible. I guess they haven't done it with a woman yet in their movies, but this is a Disney movie, and that's great.
Yeah.
And now you're the coach. You're gonna and I guess you're gonna lift the cup.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a very cool thing though, growing the game. Like we talk about it for players first because we think about the game and everything, but it's players, it's coaches, it's people like me who get to cover it. If there weren't teams doing anything like you were getting to do, we wouldn't have anything to produce like this. So it's good for all of us. I wanted to ask you all, in terms of like last year, clearly you have to label it a success. In overall terms, you had the 22 WPSL Northern Conference Franchise of the Year, which is obviously it's not the winner of the conference. It's in terms of the franchise, meaning all the things you were doing in a holistic way, player support and publicity and everything else, making shirts that you could buy. So I do want to ask, and we can start. Yeah, Emily and I have it covered home and away for last year. But so Emily, you could start with this, but how do things like being on TV, Midco, for people who don't live in South Dakota, Midco is your local sports network. And so you are on just like South Dakota State, just like USD, just like, all the summit stuff. That's a really big deal. So how much is being on TV, playing in a decent sized stadium and having fans matter to the overall goals of the team, aside from just obviously kicking the ball in the net?
Right. I mean, huge. Midco stepping in and partnering with us has been amazing. It allows, we have a youth club here in Sioux Falls, and throughout the month of June, which is basically our season, they're traveling for tournaments, and being able to watch our games, which so many of them did. They had watch parties in the hotels and they were cheering our team on. That was really cool. Just to have that opportunity for people all around the region to watch our team. It's helping get to our goal of becoming, the first professional women's team here in South Dakota. So Midco is a big deal for us and a great partner.
Yeah. Well, and I was rewatching a bit of a stream because I just wanted to get a sense of it from remembering from last year. And it looks great. I was rewatching, I rewatched the game with Maplebrook. I'm sorry, there were only so many games. But it makes everyone look good. It makes Maplebrook look good because it's on a nice stream and you can hear fans. There's a nice situation for everybody. So, and it makes it nicer to watch. Like I've struggled through a lot of streams on 11 Sports, and it's nice to have the presentation, and it makes you think of the players in a higher level because the standard is higher. I want to ask this, and maybe Joe, speak to your thoughts on this first. And I know it obviously Emily and Anna both would have thoughts, but the context for this question, by the way, is that high school soccer, correct me if I'm wrong, in South Dakota is like a few years old. It's like less than 10 years old, correct? As an official like state sanctioned tournament. Yeah. Yes. So I just wanted to say that to people so they understand. Now we're talking about a women's soccer team talking about being a professional team. So that's just a really quick rise for the ambitions and the growth of the sport in our area. So Joe, your thoughts first. The team's been open about, looking at both. I know like the W League was specifically referenced, but then of course like things like the USL Super League and WPSL Pro are potential professional opportunities for the team. So I didn't know if you wanted to share any specific thoughts about what that means to the team, or how in a really new growing market a team handles that type of conversation.
Yeah, locally, from the start, we always wanted it to be a destination for local players to aspire to. One of the things we heard this time last year when we were speaking with players who were from the Sioux Falls area was they always wanted this team. They always wanted a hometown team to play for. Hailee Fischer, who will be on later, was the very first player we signed, and she had opportunities to play for other WPSL teams, and she wanted to play for a Sioux Falls team and held out hope that there would always be one. So when the opportunity came, she was all over it. So that's something that we aspire to. That's going to push the growth of the game. There are a lot of good players in Sioux Falls. I think exposure is an issue because it's so isolated. And just to travel to be at some of the events with exposure, a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of money. There's no driving an hour and going to a game with dozens of college coaches. It's hopping on a plane and usually taking a connection or two. So we wanted to inspire those players and have a place for them to go if they had the desire and the talent to do that. So we always want to have that local flavor in the club, regardless of what level we're at. That's huge for us. So that's kind of the foundation for us. And then the other foundational piece is from the beginning when I started to talk with Emily and the other owners, I asked, where do you want to go with this? And they said, we want to be at the professional level, whatever that looks like, because, even a year ago, that was a little hazier than it is now. Obviously, there's more players in the picture, but it's still not 100% concrete, what that's going to look like in another year or 2 years or 3 years. So what we all decided was we were going to operate as professionally as possible. From the start. Again, obviously we couldn't do everything we wanted to from the start in a professional way, but if we could do it, or if it was more professional or less professional, then we opted for the more professional way. So we've sat in meetings and talked about, okay, we can do this or that. And it ultimately comes down to which way is more professional. And that's usually, I can say it's almost always the way we go. I can't think of a time where we opted for less professional. So that's a foundational piece. So you talk about the stadium, you talk about Midco. Those are all things when we're speaking with players about, hey, we're trying to create a professional environment for you. That helps professionalize that environment so that they feel that it's a big deal, right? The volunteers and the people who come in and make sure the locker room looks like a professional locker room, with the setup and just like there's snacks available, not just like, crummy snacks, like good, healthy snacks that are available, right? Like a variety of drinks for players.
I'm listening, Joe. I'm listening. What are we talking about?
So everything is as professional as it can be. We take a coach bus to away games. We provide good meals on the road for the players.
We provide housing.
Healthy. We try to do everything we can. They have access to an athletic trainer all the time. They have a place to go work out during the day that's free of cost. For the out-of-town players, we provide housing. Our cost is ridiculously low for the environment, especially in the space that we're in. We charge very, very, very little to be part of a big-time organization, and so that's really at the foundation. The local players, the local identity is always important, and then that professional atmosphere. Do as much as we can as a professional team would. That's those are two core tenets for us in how we operate.
Well, it costs money. It makes a difference. I mean, you see the difference if a team rolling up in a coach bus having a catered meal before the game, after the game, as opposed to the travel isn't incredible in the WPSL, but it certainly is sometimes for you all. And it's still, you see some teams are just, just two minivans, right? They only get to bring 13 players, maybe 14. They don't have full subs, and you're sitting in a car, so it is different. And so it takes a lot of investment, but I know it makes a difference for players.
We definitely see that when the teams come to us. We always take the 3.5 hour bus ride, to the metro area. And it's just what we do. We can tell there's a lot of teams that would really not rather take that trip. And sometimes it shows. So
they got to go all the way out to the prairie.
Well, I'll say too, like just speaking to partners in, in Sioux Falls,
right,
that matters. You want to be associated with a team that's going to treat, or anybody who's going to treat anybody at the best. And if we say that we want to get to this level, then we better act it. So I will say the one thing that we do really well, and we have 3 pillars: authenticity, integrity, purpose, and we live and die by those.
Yeah.
And we have very purposefully, we'll say something, but then we will actually do it. And that's really important for us is that. And we just want people to know, like, when they become involved with us, when they partner with us, it's going to be a mutual win-win. It's going to be something that we really strive to make them proud to be a part of this, because we really do take pride in what we're trying to do here.
Yeah, well, and we've talked about the community partners are important if you want to provide those resources to players. It doesn't come from nothing. Yeah, so that is, you can tell that I feel like there's a new partnership you guys put on Instagram like every week. This is this spring, so you have a lot of people engaged in the team, and like you said, it's no small thing. There's just not a lot of women's sports outside of obviously the colleges in the state. There just aren't women's sports to root for. And you saw this, you started the same year as Minnesota Aurora, the same thing, where it was like people just were hungry for it, and it wasn't. And so, yeah, you showed proof of concept, and it's only going to grow. All right, well, let's move it. And I want to ask if you have any thoughts, because you would have seen this team as a player in college, and it maybe would have changed how you thought about like your future in soccer. Don't you think? What's your perspective on that?
Yeah, I mean, growing up, I'm from Pierre originally, and like I remember growing up, and we barely had enough girls to make a club team.
Yeah,
it just wasn't that kind of drive for it. Then once I got to college, I would have loved to continue on, because you always look up at the national team and you want to be them and be just like them. And in this area, you don't have a lot of that opportunity. So I'm just picturing the younger girls' perspective and seeing, the players on Midco, like you feel like you're big time and they think you're big time, and seeing them after the game.
Yeah.
Like, you're role models to them. And I think that's huge.
Yeah. It's all it takes. People need to be able to see that, someone like them has been able to do something, to be able to believe it's real, Yeah. All right. Well, Matt, let's move in. We got to move into the important stuff. We got to get some of the squad details. We're going to start with the keepers, because this one's kind of simple, and Joe will ask your insight on this. But right here is Hailee Fischer. You mentioned her. Hailee, we promoted. Looks tough. She's going to come after you.
Don't mess with Hailee.
Hailee is a standout for South Dakota State. They went to the tournament again this last year, one of the best teams in the upper Midwest. And so, Joe, I just wanted to get your insights. This is the only keeper you've put on the slide. Is just so confident in her durability, or is there do you have to look to maybe get some backup for Hailee?
Well, we had some competition. We had a goalkeeper from Northwest Missouri State who was one of the if you look at her, first I'll say when we go into this is our ownership group committed to recruiting in a different way. So we used Instat, which is now Y Scout.
Yeah.
But they committed to that. So that's how we did. We did a lot of in-person scouting, but we were able to keep tabs on every Division I player and many Division II and Division III players that use that platform to track them. So we did have a goalkeeper from Northwest Missouri State who played Bemidji in the tournament.
Yep.
And she's at the top, like her ranking, she's mixed in with all these Power 5 goalkeepers. And unfortunately, she had a nagging elbow injury throughout the year that she needed surgery. Then it got pushed back. So she just had surgery last week. So she's out for the summer. So we found out about January. We talked about what we wanted to do. We've got some really talented local goalkeepers, including Hailee's sister, who's going to be going to USD next year. And there's another local goalkeeper who's going to MIT. So we've talked to the local club about, hey, let's use them for training and let's see if we can roster them for games as the backup to get them experience, because they're local. So they're both very good. And Hailee is at that point where she might play next year again. She might not play again next year. So we feel like we have two really good young goalkeepers that we can bring along. And Hailee can kind of tutor them as much as maybe Campbell, her sister, will allow her to. I'm sure that they've got a good relationship, but you know how that goes sometimes.
Sure. Yeah.
Well,
I don't think.
So Hailee's our number one for now, and we definitely will have some backup for her. But our thought process was just let's utilize our local talent.
Yeah, very cool. And one thing about Hailee that's unique, we talk about this at Equal Time because I cover the Summit League pretty extensively. I have never seen this in soccer. I don't think ever this way. Plenty of teams use two goalkeepers. South Dakota State played them where they'd play the first and second half every game. They would play half of the game each. I just have never seen anything like that. Anna, you as a player, have you ever seen something like that? It was successful, by the way, but have you seen that before?
No, never.
So
them, but
it's old school UNC. UNC used to do it way back in the day. Yeah.
And that's a way to balance when you have competitive players who need to see the field, but really impressive from both of them, to be honest. That takes a lot of mental strength to be a keeper like that. So Hailee clearly has it. For people who want to look, I posted in the thread an old interview with Hailee, and we happenstanced upon talking about her training with her second cousin by marriage, Casey Keller. So that was a fun bit in the last. I happened upon that. Matt, let's move to defenders. All right, I'm going to do my best with all of your names. I want to read them all. But Cheyenne Reed, Jordan Tempest, Avery Nelson, Jada Van Overbeek, Carolyn Reesnes, Rebecca Storr, Lainey Brill, Elena Sorensen, Brooke Wetterstrom, Haley Miller, Mo Malone. So
almost perfect.
Almost. It's
she gets us to it's Hallie Miller.
Hallie.
Yeah.
Apologies.
It's okay. We all have to remember it's
something might be Hal.
Sorry, Hallie. Yep.
Couple things. I want to get to each of you, but so Joe, one trend, we cover the NSIC a lot at Equal Time because it's one of the best D2 conferences in the country. Minnesota obviously has a lot of teams, the Dakotas as well. Noticing a trend just in the defenders that you do have a ton of NSIC talent, and obviously people playing in the Dakotas. Talk about specifically just scouting the NSIC, finding the talent from that league, and what you've been able to get in the players you have here from the NSIC.
Absolutely. I mean, I think you hit it on the head. There's so many talented players in that conference, top to bottom. It's a challenging conference, so there's a lot of really good players. The second thing is we have a very specific profile for the positions and players in general, but in the positions. And being able to see them, we have the video, which is fantastic, but being able to see defenders in particular live is great because some of the statistical metrics used are different with the defenders, right? Yeah. Midfielder, how many passes, how many entry passes, there's more metrics that you can use more easily. With defenders, sometimes it's the eyeball test. So obviously the NSIC teams, we can get to see a lot of games, and we can start to see trends. So it's not just show up the one game up, they played very well.
Yeah.
Let's go sign them. It's like, oh, we've seen them play 3, 4, 5 times. And you get to see the tournament, and you get to see the NCAA tournaments as well with some of these players. So you get to see them at the highest level against the best competition in the country. So that's really what it comes down to with the defenders.
Yeah. Well, and people, it's a tough league to play in. So even you have players from teams like Southwest Minnesota State, Augustana, Wayne State, competitive teams, but also like every team, UMary and others, but like every team, when they play the top teams in the league, I mean, you have to defend a lot against the top talent. And so there is certain value in having defenders who've kind of gone through that. I could certainly understand that watching a ton of NSIC as it moves into the snow later in the season. Anna, first of all, Anna was a standout goal scorer for Northern State. I don't know if people know this, but I do now. How many goals, Anna, how many goals did you score in college? Do you remember?
Oh gosh. I don't know.
Well, for
she would never tell you if she did.
No,
it's been 10 years now, hasn't it?
It's a pure 50-50 with strikers. I've found where they will either know exactly, and they will know they'll know that it's 33 goals and 17 assists in 4 years. Or they're like, no, why would I know that? And I'm like, sure, you scored too many to remember. But Anna, I mean, in a real way, I mean, you are moving into coaching. It's your first like a big coaching job, although you handled some tough U8 work, which honestly is maybe hard. It's harder maybe than this. But I just want to know for you, I mean, and partly it's a joke, but like you're a potent offensive player. So as part of you're a player development coach as your specialty on the staff. And so I'm wondering for you, is part of that like really giving insight to defenders on like, this is what messed me up. This is how can be better from my perspective. Talk about you getting that new role.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I definitely am straight up offense. That's all I know. That's I lived and breathed offense my whole life. But I know a good defender when I see one. And I know I'm like the type of player, I have different play styles than others, like Ellie Shock. Like she's good with her feet, and with the ball at her feet, she'll just crisscross through anybody. So I think it's going to be different. Talking about the different play styles with the defenders, but I think I can give them some insight on some tough offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, you're going to have to get used to being a little bit of their boss now after being their player. That's always the fun thing for the players with that first year transition. And you'll have so much more respect for all the coaches you had before of how tough it is to be a coach. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Anna had a nickname too, right?
Ellis.
Weren't you called something by the other players?
The team mom. Is that what it is? That's the mother.
I'll just add, Anna had 33 goals and 17 assists in her career. I will also add that we've had some meetings within our, we have some clips of this is how we want to play. This is our style to play. The very first clip that we show, Anna defends and wins the ball, starts the counterattack.
Yeah.
All right, and scores a goal. So when Anna says she doesn't know how to defend, maybe not in that part of the field.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But she does know how to defend for sure.
I don't have the skills like Cheyenne does. I would not want to go against Cheyenne, that's for sure.
Few people have those skills.
Yeah.
Okay, keep an eye out. From Brampton, Ontario's best, Coffeyville Community College, Cheyenne Reed. Yeah, I mean, look, don't get too past the playing time. I'm sure Joe's going to need you in some of the practices, so we'll see what you still have. And look, injuries, who knows? You might, get ready. You might have to be a late signing. Let's move to midfield, Matt. All right, this one a little shorter, but I want to read through these names too. We have Taylor Thomas, who plays at Dayton, Barbara Castellanos, who plays at Chicago State, Mary Perez, also from Chicago State, Delaney Kenny, Chicago State, Chloe Allen of Minot State, Sydney Hagee of Augustana, and then this is the name I should ask ahead, Emily Nezzi.
Yep.
Wow, look at that.
Good work.
Who plays also for Coffeyville CC and is originally from Brazil. So Joe, to start off with this, I just noticed, you have a lot of players from D2, NSIC, like we mentioned, and then you have varying other levels, like most summer league teams do. The D1 trend skews heavily to Chicago State, so there's got to be a connection there. Talk to us about how you have 4 players from Chicago State this year.
We did get to see them play live a bit, so that always helps. Again, we had a very specific profile. Sometimes it comes down to the helpfulness of the staff at those schools.
Sure.
The more responsive and the more information they provide, then it just makes it easier when you have to pick between this player who you know a lot about because of you've seen them play and you've spoken to the coaching staff. So Lonnie and Grace at Chicago State were fantastic with that. Whereas not that other schools weren't, but they just provide us a lot of detail. Gave us ideas about, the skill set of players. So that was helpful. And a few of them, like, Delaney Kenny, we were looking for somebody to just sit in the middle as a 6. And, that was a skill set that she had. And it allows us to, other players to go forward more, and she's happy to just sit there and give the ball to those players and win the ball back again and again. So, so yeah, a lot of it just came down to the skill set of players. And for the rest, it's really about mobility and it's different ideas with the ball in terms of how they want to penetrate, how they want to progress, and that sort of thing. So yeah, so again, Chicago State, there's quite a heavy influence there.
Yeah.
But and then some NSIC there with Chloe and with Macy as well. Taylor's Taylor. She'll join you later and give you some insight there. So, and we have a great connection with Coffeyville from Shy last year.
Yeah.
Katie Burfitt. So Emily's the next in line.
Yeah, you can get them at all levels. That's what's fun, is because when you just look at this on paper too, you don't know the stature of the player within the program. For example, like I follow the leagues and whatever, but so that's what's fun about these summer leagues is you see players from different levels, and you can see, well, this is a player from community college. Why are they carving up the D2 defender or D1 defenders on the other team? It's like, players get a chance to showcase. Emily, are there any midfielders you'd like to highlight?
I mean, I might be biased, but I kind of like that first one that's listed.
I looked it up to be sure. I knew the story that your daughter's on the team, but I did double check.
Yes. And to be fair, I had no idea if she would even want to be on the team. So yeah.
Right on.
Obviously,
but it worked out. It's a cool thing. And it's a cool thing. And when you talk about making the team, I know one of the things you said is obviously like the perspective of having a daughter playing the game, just like put you right into this and gave you the drive. And that's what parents wanting to take care of their kids does. Gives you motivation at this level.
Yeah, it definitely. Well, and I have to say, like, just to go back, I mean, so Eric and I, and then Gabe and Melissa, that's how we started this, is our daughters who they met, 10 years ago, and they both had various journeys. And so my journey with Taylor kind of led me to this place. And so it was, it's purely because of that, which is really cool now to be where we are.
Yeah. Awesome. And for you, you played with some of these players last year. You have newcomers coming in. Obviously, you've only seen so much of them, but just wonder your thoughts on anything you wanted to say about the returners coming in from midfield, and also anything you had in terms of seeing the newcomers that are signed on this year.
Yeah, I mean, Taylor Thomas and Maisie Haggerty, they were both solid midfielders. You were very lucky to play with them. I would say that's probably the hardest position to play in soccer is midfield, controlling both offense and defense, and really controlling that middle section of the field. It's difficult, and you have to be able to really communicate with each other, play off each other, not stop moving. And Taylor and Macy were both really good at that, as well as scoring goals.
Yeah.
So very lucky to have them back.
Awesome. Let's move to forwards, Matt. And Macy Haggerty, I apologize. In the copying down of these notes, I missed your name, so now you get extra time, an extra shout out. These are the forwards for the 23 Sioux Falls City FC: Josie Bardsley, Juni Ejere, Ellery Tarbox, Kirsten Wetterstrom, Kaylee Rock, Riley Haldeman, McKenna Lehman, Ellie Schock, and Kendra Park. You've got players from, again, multiple from the NSIC, from Crookston, Southwest Minnesota State, and then you have a few other D1s, Riley Haldeman, South Dakota, McKenna Lehman at St. Thomas. So a little bit of variety there, and then a couple other out of state players. Joe, a lot of new players in the forwards. Talk about your recruitment and what you're seeing building out, which a lot of players who could play up front for you.
Yeah, the 9 with 5 returning, so that was good. So we just had to look at some different area. What were their strengths? What did we need to add? For us, again, like mobility and flexibility in terms of the playing shape, and just what we needed was important. We had speed, but we wanted to add a player with that pace that scares you. maybe backs off an entire back line because this player's in the game and looking to make runs. I won't tell you who that is. I'll let other people figure that out as the year goes on.
I know, of course. I know all the players. Obviously, I know all the players. And
sure you do. Okay. All right. We'll talk off air and we'll see if you're right or not. But having that balance of players, and as you know, with one, you need depth in the WPSL with the schedule. It's very condensed. And some games you just need a little bit of a different look. And so having that balance and not having too many players who are the same is important. Maybe some similarities, but then also some differences. So players who look to make the runs in behind, players who are very comfortable playing with the ball at their feet, and creating for themselves or for others. And then some players who just want to drive and run it at players on the dribble, and back them off and see what they can create that way. So a lot of returners there. So it should be some good cohesion up top, and then the new players we're excited about as well. Bringing that extra spark or some new ideas.
You have a lot of there's a nice thing to be able to translate some chemistry into the summer league because it is so difficult with the condensed schedule, limited practice, although you all have a little more investment, I think, into having the time to do that. But having groups of teammates, is not irrelevant. Having 4 players play for Chicago State who can maybe have a dynamic that they bring in, having multiples from Minot and Augie and like all those schools, I'm sure it plays a role. So there are some patterns for sure. That should benefit the chemistry, I would think. Anna, you were a forward on the team last year. We talked about it. You had a break and play as well. So I know you had played WPSL, it had been a little bit, and obviously a couple years out of college. So I'm just curious for you, and I have no doubt the level of play will continue to grow, but what was the level of play like in the Northern Conference of WPSL for you last year? And, what did it help you take in terms of being someone who can help forwards grow this year?
Yeah, it was quite the shock getting to play that type of way again. Even at Northern, I felt that Sioux Falls City and the whole league was a step up competitively. Because you're kind of getting the best of all the colleges around in the conference and stuff like that. And it was definitely an adjustment, but it was a lot of fun to know that I can keep up and
dominate.
Especially being 10 years out of, you said a couple, but it's 10, you can say 10 out of college. It was very competitive, a lot of fun. And I know I had different play styles than some of these girls, and it was fun to see the different types of players. And I even learned a lot from the girls that are in college now. Totally. There's a lot of things I didn't learn about until this summer. So I'm excited to bring my knowledge and my excitement and see what happens.
I think the wisdom, perspective at least, and then you get on the field and body them a little bit, Anna. And we got to move. Apologies if it's taken a little longer than expected. There's a lot of jelly in these donuts. We got a lot to talk about. Emily, before we move into the players, I just wanted to ask if you first of all, but if there's anything else from Joe or Anna is there anything else you wanted to say about the roster, upcoming season? I'll tell you, I am going to promote buying tickets and merch at the end of the show, so I'll try and do my best to cover it when you guys are out. But is there anything else you just want to be able to communicate to fans before we head into the players segment?
Well, first of all, Mark, thanks for having us and thanks for promoting us. That's huge. So we all really appreciate that. For the fans, the schedule's out. And season tickets will be available in about a week. We will get some new merch. We have a fun Pride jersey that we are going to be revealing. You're going to want to get it.
I work at the world's only queer soccer bar, so I guess I have to.
I'm pretty sure you're going to have to put that up in that wall.
We're going to buy 2.
Exactly. We're just so excited about moving forward with this year, and just continuing to do things the right way. continuing to do things different, continuing to, question and change the status quo. And we're all about having fun while we do it.
Yeah.
And so our games, we're elevating the game of soccer in South Dakota. I'm so excited to meet all of these new players.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to have my girls back.
Yeah.
They're all just like family. And so it really is like everybody just belongs and is just a part of the big family. And we're really excited to continue that and, do some more education this year and really get out into the community and just look for a lot from us. And I know Joel on social media is going to be doing a lot more. We're going to be doing a lot more videos, TikToks even perhaps. Travis is going to be involved. So the whole organization is just, everybody's wonderful. Everybody is on the same page culture-wise. We are all about empowering women and doing it the right way. And we're just excited to see where it takes us. So thanks.
We are too. Makes it fun. And I'm doing my best. I'm looking through the schedule to get out to it's tough. There's only so many home games, but I think we'll be able to work something out. Hopefully we can be on site and make the journey out. I don't think I've ever been to Sioux Falls. I'm sorry.
Not the prairie.
We'll make it worth your
It'll
time.
be fun.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
Well, thank you all. I'm going to we'll pull you back. The players have been very patient. Thank you, especially one who is now past midnight in Europe. We will get that as the teaser you need for me to do an ad read and come back with a couple players. I'm going to say goodbye to Emily, Joe, and Anna. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. Now they're free. I will take a quick break to read a sponsorship ad from our sponsor, Pentz Homes. This show is brought to you by Pentz Homes. Whether you are buying or selling or looking to do some projects in your current home, Nate and Lydia can help you find what you need. Need financing for a basement remodel, looking to add a second bath or even a workspace now that you're working from home? Pentz Homes and their preferred lender, Angie Shearer, with Luminate Financing can help find the right financing tool for you. Go to pentzhomes.com to learn more or find them on social media at Pentz Homes. Okay, so for the three players who are coming in, they had plenty of time to wait. I'm going to welcome Ellie Schock, Taylor Thomas, and Hailee Fischer. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. And we can hear everybody. Ellie, Hailee, can you hear me?
Yep.
We're good to go, man. Appreciate you listening to the washed up players talk a little bit. And then now we'll get to the ones still doing it. We're going to start. And like we said, Taylor is currently joining us from Finland. So Taylor, special props to you, I have to say.
Thank you.
And we'll get into a little bit of what you have going on over there. But I'm going to start with, look, we have some locals here, and then we're going to talk to a couple people who are not from South Dakota. Ellie, you're a local's local 3 times over because you're playing at Augustana. You're a returning player for Sioux Falls FC, and you played high school in Sioux Falls. So, I mean, yeah, as local as it gets. And I want to know, because Hailee, Taylor may not have played you in high school because you were over at Shattuck. Hailee, did you play her in high school?
I did. Yeah.
How many, we did this already for another forward. Stats are easy. Look, it makes it easy. How many goals and assists do you think that Ellie had in high school?
Oh, boy.
And this was from an article in the season. You might have got a couple more than this. Ellie will have to tell me.
Oh, I have no idea. I don't know.
Would you believe 56 goals and 24 assists?
I would believe that, yes.
Sounds about right. Yeah. Ellie, did you know that number before I asked?
Oh, yeah, I did.
She did. See, so we asked Anna and she said, I have no idea how many goals. If I'd scored 56, was it 56 or is it more?
I think I got 59 by the end of my senior year.
Playoffs. Apologies, the high school stats are not a pure thing to look up. But congratulations. And I mean, just talk about it. We've talked to the other members of the front office just about the local nature of the team, but like this must be special for you, right? I mean, just talk about would you even have pictured this, 5 7 years ago, like when you're in high school?
I mean, I think having like this high of level soccer in South Dakota for people to play in between college is a huge step in the right direction for women's soccer. 5 years ago, I don't really think I could have ever pictured myself playing on a team like this. Like wearing Sioux Falls on my jersey is just something so special.
Yeah.
Growing up here and playing at pretty much every level in Sioux Falls, like having this team here to come back to in the summer is just super special.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, I'm referring to it when I write about it on Equal Time as South Dakota's team. You guys own it. You can own the whole state. And Hailee, I mentioned, you have obviously like some former local high school rivals. I know there's one player who from T area too, which I know talking to you last year. I love the small town names. It's kind of like all the hyphen town names in Minnesota sports. But talk about playing with players who, you interacted with in youth soccer and seeing them come together and being able to, make the core of the team like that. How does it make a difference? Does it matter to you that it's a South Dakota players, or would you just rather have, 8 girls from UNC roll in?
No, I think when you're from Dakota or you come to this area and you're in it for longer than just a few months, you kind of realize how special it is. Got to get you to Sioux Falls. Jeez.
I mean,
and so the people and the community, and it is really special to play for a purpose and for a community that just means so much more than just playing. Yeah.
Well, and I never thought about it in terms of women's soccer. I thought about it obviously, but I never thought about it in terms of just like women's teams. It's like you have the G League men's basketball team, you have a minor league men's hockey team, you have, you have like an indoor football team, but not until now, like a prominent women's team like this. Taylor, making you wait 51 minutes in Finland, appreciate it. But tell us what you're doing over there. I know you're training with one of the biggest clubs in the country, right? Talk about what you have going on.
Yeah, it has been wild, to say the least. But earlier this spring, I got the amazing opportunity to train with the top team here in Finland, and absolutely could not say no to that. And so it was all very quick, and found myself plopped on a plane, headed over, and it has been like the most incredible experience. It's been so cool to see the differences in the style of play and getting to play at like this level and see just like, it's so cool, like the language barrier and stuff, but like getting to connect with like your language is like soccer. And so like getting to connect with people from like all over the world, which then like relates to Sioux Falls City of like, it doesn't matter like where we all come from. Like you see girls on our team, like coming from all these different schools, all these different countries. And at the end of the day, like we're just like one big family who like get to do what we love together. And so getting this experience and hopefully bringing back some knowledge and some fun stories will be really, really exciting. So
yeah, very cool. It just makes it seem possible too. It was cool to see there's Minnesotans, and people who are local in the upper Midwest who go and play, and it's not always the most glamorous. You might not be on ESPN, but there's a lot of people doing those types of things. So for a player from the team to get to do it is cool because it just seems tangible, right? Because you're like, how many pros do I know from Sioux Falls? I don't know. Hopefully more soon. How was you played at Shattuck St. Mary's in the development system, and then you playing at Dayton in college? And then Sioux Falls City, obviously, which is a different type of level of competitive nature in the game. I'm just curious how those stops compared, and maybe just with your experience now getting to be, in Finland for a little bit, playing with some pro women.
Yeah, I think me joining Sioux Falls City has been a very like full circle moment for me. I think just like Ellie and Hailee too, I feel like we are players who have always been like wanting to challenge ourselves, like from like being little girls. And for me, I had like the big dreams, kind of Anna spoke about it earlier. Like you see these like pro players and you just like dream of being them. And for me, younger when Shattuck popped up, it was really in my mind, like the only thing I could do to like get me to that next level, just because like there was really nothing like that South Dakota gave us in terms of like getting to the next level as like a female athlete. And so I ended up leaving when I was 14 and spent my 4 years at Shattuck, which was a great opportunity. And then that led me to play at the D1 level, which again was like one of my dreams growing up. And I was always searching for that like thing to just like challenge me, push me to the next level. And then it's been really cool that I had to leave home to do that. And now it's like, it's right there for me, like waiting for me right back home, which makes it like so much more special that I just get to come home and I don't have to sacrifice anything of that anymore because of what Sioux Falls City has been able to create. It is that high level. It is the place where, like, I don't have to sacrifice anything to like give up my dreams because I do trust like the coaches, the owners, like everything that it will get me to like the level that I want to be at. And the girls that it brings into, like I'm playing against the best there is. So
yeah. And it's, I mean, the quickness of how much the game has grown. Like I talked to the previous guest, like high school soccer coming along when it did. And now you're a team saying, we want to be a pro women's team. And you're like, it doesn't seem, by the way, outlandish in any way. It seems logical. And so even for me, like covering NSIC or Summit League only for the last few years, that's different from 3 years ago. Like from when, like Hailee, from when you started college, like that's very different. I'm wondering for you, like, seeing that we talked about the level being raised, the team was playing on Midco Sports, which, and you know, had hundreds, which for people, like we said, local TV, had hundreds of fans at the game. Seemed like the local media covered the team really well in terms of like getting on the radio, getting in the paper. Did it feel, you play for a pretty big college team, I mean, in terms of the Midwest, South Dakota State. I'm just wondering if it felt different. Did it feel bigger? Did it feel, or in terms of the context of the team being what it was, like, did you feel a different, you know, responsibility or role as a player? Was it?
Yeah, I mean, SDSU soccer has always done a good job of giving us like values and expectations to live up to. But with Sioux Falls City, it kind of fell more on us.
Yeah.
And it fell more on, well, what can we do to promote this team? And most of that is how can we play? How can we act in the community? And I think we're really trying to elevate that this year too, and really try to grow that more as well. And I think that in college, sometimes it's a little bit more of, well, you have to be doing this.
It's the coach and the players.
Yeah. Yep. Which, of course, is an expectation. If you're getting a scholarship, it should be that way.
Yeah.
But for this team, we're really trying to find people and create that culture where it's special and it's a little bit different too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, mentioning what we talked about, the leadership council, trying to have not just a sense of respect for the players, but a formalized way to see that develop. And it's helping you, I'm sure, as individuals too. I want to know, Ellie, I want to ask you just a couple more things, but I'm going to give you the more just the locker room question. Who controls the speaker on the bus or in the locker room? And sometimes I think I asked Hailee this once, or someone who doesn't. Maybe it's that someone doesn't get to.
I don't remember. I feel like it was kind of a mix of people. Me and Josie.
They're laughing. They're laughing at you, Ellie. So.
It's you.
Yeah. Me and Josie Bardsley did a lot of the off in the locker room and stuff.
That's another local. Josie's is she from T area? She's local.
Yeah, we took on the role of trying to connect to one of the speaker systems in our locker room. And yeah, it kind of stuck the rest of the season.
Taylor and Hailee, Ellie's doing so much. That's just one thing. You remember it, but for her, she's doing everything. That's just one thing. Yeah, I play music and I play and whatever. She don't care.
We bow down to
but she remembers the goals though. She remembers the goals. Thank you all for joining. One other thing. Oh, I wanted to ask you this, just because I typed the words Sioux Falls City FC 30 times today, maybe 100. And I'm curious. I just didn't know. I haven't heard anything. Like, is there any shorthand, or like when you all are talking about it, how do you refer to the team if you were like asking a friend if they're going to come to the game, or you know what I mean? Is there any nickname or like local? I want to be an insider when I come.
I would say we just kind of shorten it to SFC or SFC, FC.
You don't say city, like you're going to
some
the city.
People, yeah, no, some people
do.
say city, yeah.
Like our fans
within the team too, we say city more.
City, because it's you could, because if you just say Sioux Falls, and so, and also well, I was gonna say, are the fans the citizens? That's you tell me. We'll figure it out. I think someone might have started I might have seen it on Twitter actually that there was a supporter.
For you
guys.
Yes.
I forgot. I didn't even make a note on the name. Do you guys want to shout them out?
Army of the Falls.
Of the Falls.
Army of the Falls.
And they were incredible.
Cool.
We brought out like the most fun things that were so unexpected for home games. We had like,
so it wasn't just a Twitter thing. Like they were in the stands.
Yeah.
It was smoke, like drums,
flags for all of different countries.
Cool.
They made like player cards for each of us.
Yeah.
Sick. All right. Well, we'll for sure follow them. And we, the only other, we will big up any supporters group, supporting one of our local women's teams. The only other one, it started with Aurora, was Brevon Toulette. And that's just been a really fun thing because you get to see like that happening at a women's game, and the little kids, like they're just as pumped about that. Some of them don't care about the game. They're just like watching the people do drums. And so, not everyone is good enough to play on the team. They got to learn how to be a supporter too. So that's very fun. Thank you very much to 3 of the veteran leaders of Sioux Falls City FC, aka City, aka SFC, aka Hailee Fischer, Taylor Thomas, and Ellie Shock. Taylor, thank you. I don't need to single it out, but thank you once again for joining with the time difference over. It must be dark. Has it just been darker even than Minnesota over there?
A little bit. It's now just a little past 2 a.m., but all worth it. So
Nice.
Thank you so much for having us, and we hope to see you in Sioux Falls.
We hope. I watched a couple games last year, but not in Sioux Falls. Thank you all, and I'm going to swap you out and bring out the newcomers. Thank you. All right. Taylor can go to sleep, and we are welcoming absolutely the most patient 2 new players here for Sioux Falls City. We have Juni, Ejere, and Mary Perez. Thank you so much for waiting this wint. Of course, longer than I would have thought. Thank you so much.
It's okay. We know Joe likes to talk.
Awesome. Mary, look, I can't. I have to point that finger back at myself, I suppose, as well. So liking to talk too much. Mary, you are calling from Colorado, right? Which is where you're from.
Yeah.
Awesome. And so this is fun because we had like 3 hyper locals. I was given tiny high school drops of Sioux Falls suburbs that you guys have never ever heard of. So I want to hear the story of how you guys got connected to this team. Mary, I'll start with you. What was your connection to get you to Sioux Falls, and have you been to South Dakota before?
I have been to South Dakota. I went to a JUCO called Northeast in Nebraska.
Okay.
And it's literally just 2 hours, south.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we would go to Sioux Falls, But
that was your city? That was the closest, city?
Yeah.
Nice.
Well, no, but yeah.
Yeah, biggest.
And then my boyfriend also went to South Dakota School Mines.
Oh, right on.
So yeah, I've been there. But so with CSU, I played against South Dakota State.
Yeah.
And that Joe happened to be there.
Yeah.
So then closer to the end of the season, Coach Lonnie told me that he was interested in me and a couple of my teammates, and I was like, oh yeah, definitely. I've played on 2 other WPSL teams.
Yeah.
And I just like going different places. I've gone to Nebraska, Chicago, so I don't mind. Yeah. And he just sold me. We had a meeting and we talked for almost 2 hours, and it was just great. He talked about the professionalism, and that's something that I really look for in teams because I myself am an aspiring professional.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was all Joe. And obviously, playing for a new team, and honestly, it just sounded like a really fun and new experience that I could learn. And seeing how competitive it's going to be with the roster, I'm really excited.
Yeah. Well, playing in other WPSL teams, it's a huge league, and so there's a lot of different types of teams that are in it for different reasons, right? There's some teams where they're a club that develops players to get them D1 scholarships, and then WPSL isn't maybe the number one focus. It's so they can keep playing, it's so they can keep in shape and so, and then there's some teams like Sioux Falls obviously is not a youth club. They started as the priority of focusing on this, and then so we've seen how the type of publicity they've gotten and the exposure for you as a player, right? That's kind of if you want to play pro.
You want a nice professionalism. I was like, take me.
You need a stream. I've watched a lot of streams, and it's better to not be field level on a phone. It's better to have a nice produced stream. Juni, so Mary's one of the Chicago State players. I totally get the connection because of them playing the South Dakota schools, and maybe that's why he saw him. I have no idea how you're discovered. You just must have had the craziest Y Scout turnout that he just had to reach out. I don't know. You're from Texas. You play at St. Mary's, which for people in Minnesota, she's playing at St. Mary's University of Texas. What is your connection getting here to Sioux Falls, Juni?
Okay, well, my main connection would be my coach of my current team at St. Mary's. He's pretty good friends with Coach Joe.
Okay.
And I guess Coach Joe had been following our season a little bit, and so he reached out to my coach and was just like, hey, we'd like to get Juni up here and everything. And when my coach told me about it, I just kind of loved how much he pushed it, because my coach, he's just very straight up and honest, and he's not going to lead you to something if he doesn't believe in it. And so he hooked me up with Joe, and we had almost a 2-hour conversation too. And it was just really good. I loved the way he spoke about the team. I loved how confident he was in it. How he talked about the goals of the owners was to go pro, and how they're going to act like that right now. And you just don't hear that a lot. So it seemed like an amazing opportunity and something I didn't want to miss out on.
And what had you done in summers previous? Because you also are you done with your undergraduate process in terms of that? But you've played a few years of college. So I'm curious what you've done in your summers before this.
Yes, last summer I played WPSL team for the first time in San Antonio.
Okay.
I'm still in undergraduate right now. This is currently my senior year, but I will be taking my COVID year next year as well to graduate.
Very cool. Very cool. And your connection, from St. Mary's, this is, had you been to South Dakota before? Because you're a ways away.
I have never been to South Dakota, so I'm pretty excited. I love traveling.
You're coming at the right time. If the season was December through February, that's a different game. But the upper Midwest in the middle of summer, gorgeous. Yeah, it's so appropriate timing. Don't come now. Wait till May. Yeah. Wait till May. You don't need any snow drifts. Look, I said this before. Stats are easy, so I like to pull some stats, and I want to know. So we asked the other players, Juni, I got to ask you. Do you know how many goals you scored at St. Mary's? You've played 34 games in the 2 years you've been there, if my research is correct. Do you know how many goals and assists you have?
I'm not.
I've got your Seminole State College stats too, baby. We got it all.
That one's gonna be hard to remember. But St. Mary's, I think I scored 8 last year, and then I think I scored 12 this year, but I'm not too sure about assists.
Yeah, 20 goals. Yeah, 20 goals, 5 assists. And then between your scoring at Seminole State, 31 goals, 12 assists, you have 50 college goals and 17 assists. So
it's a nice number.
Sure. We'll see what happens in the WPSL. Watch out. But yeah, that's
thank you.
I just look, it's easy. I did an end of the year stat wrap up for college soccer, and the defenders' parents hit me hard. But look, without watching the game, I can't evaluate who's the best defender. There's no stats, so that's why you just have to score the goals. That's what Juni does. Mary, I read your dad played professional soccer in Mexico. Is this true?
So he says.
He says. There's no Google to double check this. You don't know.
I know.
But he says, but I'm sure he must have obviously been passionate about the game. I'm just curious. We've talked a lot about how women's players growing up you didn't get to see, like, they of course didn't have Liga MX Femenil the way they do now. That's just like crushing it in the women's game. But like, just even being around a dad who said he played professional soccer, did that impact your mindset of thinking I can dream about this more than just, you know, seeing it on TV and thinking about it for yourself?
Definitely. I have three. Well, I had three sisters. Well, okay, no, I have three sisters. And my youngest one, obviously, she's young. So when I was like 5, he made like a Mexican soccer team for like almost 10 years. So we did that for a long time, and it was co-ed with men.
Yeah.
So like doing that my whole life in general, I was like, wow, like it made me love soccer. And then once I made it to Chicago State, I realized like I could actually do this, you know?
Yeah.
And then knowing that he did it, maybe I could get my first contract at the club that he played for, which is Pumas.
Oh, this is not some random team. That'd be a big lie. That's a real team right there. That's great. That's cool. But and I mean, I love that you're outright too, Mary, about just saying this is something I want to do. And it's so much more plausible than even a couple years ago, because there's multiple. The USL is going to start a pro league. You know, the Super League, WPSL Pro is looking to start a league. Canada's about to start a league. So, you know, find your spot for sure. We like to see. We like the players having the aspiration, and it's part of why we do what we do, because if people get to hear your stories, it's a lot easier to follow the game. It gives you something to care about. Talk about, Juni, I'll have you go first on this. Just what are your goals personally with this experience? Obviously, you want the team to win, but Summer and the team off the field has a lot of cool goals that I know make it an appealing place to play too, because it's about more than the game. But summer leagues, honestly, are just really focused usually on players developing themselves and having an environment to do that. So I'm just curious for you. You know, Mary says she wants to be a pro. She's looking at NWSL Draft 2024. I'm just curious what your goals are for this summer and what you want to get out of playing for Sioux Falls City.
Yeah, I'm definitely trying to get to that level. Professional is a dream of mine, and I'm really excited for this opportunity because I think that will be a big step in my development and getting me there. So this summer, I really want to hone in on some of my technical skills and being able to read the game a little bit more. You know, I'd love to build my stats up in the WPSL field and hopefully to get those connections that I need.
Yeah, absolutely. Mary, how about you in terms of, you said you wanted to go pro. I mean, so maybe just in something more specific, what are you hoping to get out of, you know, this summer for you as a player?
Similar to Juni, it's like just understanding the game and learning to adapt to new players, because that's all I've had to do my whole life, because I went to JUCO and then Chicago State, and obviously before that, and all the WPSL teams. So I really like that, learning from new players and having to work off of them, so that it's never boring, you know, like soccer can never be boring. So and like in general, I just love playing every day, so to try and make that my job and use the resources that Sioux Falls has to my advantage, and I'd love to do that.
Yeah, just getting to train with different players. I mean, one, because you do spend a lot of time together as a college team and program, so honestly, probably getting to mix it up a little bit is maybe a nice thing in terms of just your soccer world. You know, we can't hang out together 24/7, and having an environment that's such a high level obviously makes it appealing, and it's cool to see the different players coming in this year. I'm curious for each of you as well. I can start with Juni. We mentioned this as I was going through the players before the show. Many of them hadn't met, or I know some of you haven't met, and like we also had Taylor seeing her mom. They hadn't seen each other for a couple of weeks. Have you had any connection? It's obviously early. You're not going to be in person for a couple months or so. Have you connected with teammates by a Zoom, or is there like, how do you handle trying to get some connection before, you know, May 15th and you have a game? Juni, you could start.
I've been able to attend the most recent meeting with that Coach Joe had with the team, and I admire his efforts in trying to kind of get us acquainted as much as he can remotely. And then I just recently found out that one of the players, Chloe, I played with her last summer down in San Antonio. So I was really surprised when I saw her name, and I was like, oh my gosh, you know, finally somebody that I know. So
yeah, that's funny. That's funny that she made her way all the way down there because she plays at what, Minot State or something. Yeah.
It's crazy, small world.
Yeah. That is great. Yeah. Shout out to, and by the way, for the people, none of the players on here are from Minot State. Good luck playing against Minot State defending. They basically just sit and will make it the brutalest game. I watched multiple of their games. They will beat you 1-0. They will make you hate that you're playing the game. So that I saw you had a handful of those players. They are tough. That's a tough team to play right there. I wanted to ask too, I guess for you, Mary, do you have any thoughts on that in terms of getting to connect? I know, like Juni, obviously there's been some team meetings by Zoom. How has that experience been for you? Like you said, you like meeting new people and going new places.
Yeah, same thing with Juni. We've had at least 2 meetings now, just talking about like team policies and team goals and all that. So we get to understand what everyone else wants out of this and what we all should avoid. So all those meetings have been great, and obviously I know some of the players on the team. And I think I might have played club with some of them, but I just remember faces.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm excited to see.
You mean in Colorado growing up, or what?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I've played some girls on the team in Colorado, but I don't know.
You know, I mean, look, there's you do have there's one player. Well, you have a team. Yeah, no, you definitely could. And it's cool for you to get to have a cluster of your Chicago State folks there too. Yeah. Nice to have those little pockets of chemistry. Last quick question before we try and wrap stuff up. Who is your favorite soccer player, Juni? And either just a player you like, or also if it's a different answer, is there someone you try to play like? You know, some players really like to do that, and some players are like, no, I'm me. I take from whoever. And you know, do you have a favorite player or player you like to model your game after?
Well, right now, one of my favorite highlight videos to watch, I'm gonna really butcher her name, but she plays for PSG. I want to say it's Sakina Karshui. Correct me if you know this, Mary.
The fullback?
Yeah. But, you know, it's just crazy seeing, because when I first saw her highlight reel, I thought she was a forward, honestly, just the way that she loves to drive up. Like, she will take players on. She will go score goals. Yeah. And it was really, really, like, cool to watch because I love, you know, making those runs in behind. And then I also really like to watch the way Haaland plays in the summit, because he's a very strong player. And, like,
he's an alien. He doesn't make
literally, he's a beast, a monster. And so, if anybody, I would like to model my game after him. That would be pretty cool.
Sure. Yeah, look, we just all need to be, you know, made like, you know, centaur people. And I got a freak. But no, I mean, look, it makes sense that an outside back to PSG, I don't know the specific player, but they have the ball a lot, and she gets to play next to, isn't that where the huge French center back plays, Renaud or whoever, or maybe she plays for Lyon. Yeah. So she's covering all her shit. She can just fly up. Yeah, that's great. How about you, Mary?
Oh my gosh, my Wi-Fi thinks so bad.
Can you hear me still? We'll see if she comes back. Mary. Well, I'm gonna see if Mary comes back. She is.
Sorry.
Can you hear me, Mary? You're good. I've had way worse tech problems than this, and I was supposed to be hosting it, so don't worry. Do you have a favorite player, though, or a player you like to model your game after?
I mainly have played like the 6 and the 10 mostly. Yeah. So when I play like 6, I'd say more Busquets and like Kira Walsh type.
Sure.
Because they're always there just to get out of bad situations. And then obviously Messi or Gavi from Barca too. I just like being a little fancy and technical, you know. Yeah. He's young enough to even make you guys feel old. Gavi isn't he's probably only 18. Those guys are wild. Yeah. Awesome. Well, it was awesome to talk to both of you. I'm really excited to see you joining the Upper Midwest soccer community. We'll do our best to be covering you all, and I want to say thank you also to everyone at Sioux Falls City for coming to us with this idea. I will remind you, as I am wearing last year's, I think, away shirt, they have merch on their website. Emily teased that there will be
some new shirts coming out, a Pride one, which I will keep my eyes out for. And stay tuned to Equal Time Soccer for all of your Summer League coverage. No one is on the ground more than us at these games, and your support makes that possible. So thank you to all the Patreons. Have a nice night, Mom. Thank you. And I also want to give a shout out quick to Travis Galippo, who did all of these graphics when we were showing the players. He does amazing work. He does photography at the games, and the same way that Equal Time is trying to spotlight women's soccer, he is amazing at that. He started a website, travisgalippo.com/South Dakota Soccer, to cover Sioux Falls City and the game. So shout out to him. Shout out to all the players and everyone for joining. Thank you all. Juni and Mary, we look forward. When do you head up to South Dakota? Do you know? May?
Yeah, I'm going around like May 10th-ish.
Right now.
Yeah, about mid-May.
We should be thawed. The lakes will be able, you guys will be able to jump in the lakes right away when you come up. Thank you guys.